Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Bridgman here, and welcome to the Words of Wisdom Expert interview series. I am thrilled and excited to be here with the incredible, the dynamic, and amazing Diane Rolston. This woman, you guys, blows me away. I have to tell you that whenever I'm seeking any type of advice on how to find some harmony in my life, some balance in my life, how to really find the marriage between my work life and my home life, this is the woman that I go and talk to. She is an absolute expert at helping people find the through line in their life. She is an award-winning author, the CEO of the incredible company Dynamic Women, and she is a speaker, a trainer, a coach, and she, not only that, but she won, you guys, the Motherpreneur of the Year, which we're going to get into what that means in just a second, the Motherpreneur of the Year award in 2016. She is an absolute guru and a brilliant genius at finding your clarity, finding ways of making your life more efficient, of helping you get productivity back into your life because you streamline things and you really narrow down on what it is that's the absolute most importance to you. And today I'm super excited to be here with her because she is going to walk us through the delicate balancing act, the tightrope walk of what it means to be a mom, a parent, and a business owner, a mom, a parent, and a productive person, a mom, a parent, and a brilliant woman at her career. I'm super excited to have her here, you guys. We are blessed to be here with Diane Rolston. So Diane, welcome to the Words of Wisdom Expert Interview Series, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you. We can just stop there. My ego is so fluffed and boosted right now. Thank you for your kind words, Michael. I appreciate you giving me a voice to be able to speak to your listeners, your community, and your network.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Well, let's riff on that for a second. We're just talking pre-interview here about the importance of voice in general, especially when it comes to women in their careers and in their business. So, Diane, tell me, why is the word voice so darn important to you? I know you're a speaker and a coach, so there's that part of it, but there's something more to it for you, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it started at an early age. I was always the one that the teacher sat beside, the new kid, the struggling kid, the bullied kid, the shy kid. I was always put as like captain of the sports teams and such. And I really feel that it comes from this deep place for me to speak up for people. So if I'm ever in like a conference as an adult and it's too cold, I will speak up. I know it's done for a reason, but if there's something that's not fair, I will speak up because I feel like not everyone has been given a voice. In my family, I was free to speak, maybe free to speak too much.
Yeah.
But there's this thing about me that I'm the one, like if someone cuts in line, I will speak up. If someone is mistreated, I will speak up. And I don't know where that came from fully. It's just always been in me that not everyone is confident enough to speak up, and maybe that's it. I'm not afraid to speak, and I've been given that gift, not being afraid to speak.
Cool. And you used a specific word there. You used the word confidence. So in your work, I imagine, now please correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine helping people find their voice, find that element. There's got to be a lot of work with confidence, because I don't know if you agree with me, but one of the things that I found in the coaching work that I do as well for businesses and for people is that they may have an idea. They may have something they want to do, but it's the conviction and the confidence to see it. Maybe they even start well, but to see it through to the end that I find a lot of people stumble on. Do you feel the same way? And is that one of the things that your work helps people with?
Confidence can come at such a young age for us. For me, I had parents that believed in me and believed in me to a point where it was things that I didn't even believe in myself, right? And I was like, okay, I can do this because my mom believes in me. I can do this because my dad believes in me. I can do this because my coach believes in me. So I was very blessed to have adults around me, people around me that believed in me so much that I could step into that confidence. Sadly, not everyone has that. Not everyone has experienced that even once in their life. And so if you don't already have that belief from someone else, it's hard to kind of muster the belief in self. And so it was actually a blessing and a curse that my parents believed in me so much. They believed in me so much that I would push myself to do things, which is awesome. But then I also felt like, I can't do everything, right? The reality is you can't do everything. And it's funny because it came to a point, it came to full where I really understood the truth of this. And this is maybe a trick in being a parent, is just believe in your kids. I was flown into my hometown to do a speaking engagement, which is pretty cool because my hometown is like, well, it's a city, but it's small. Brantford, Ontario is my hometown. And I'm being flown in as a speaker, like, my gosh, full circle for me as a speaker to be be in the local newspaper. Like, my parents were so proud. And I said, Mom, this is one of the first engagements. You can come and see me because it's a public event. It's for women. I had an extra ticket. I was able to bring her. And she said, oh no, I can't come.
Really? She didn't want to be there?
I said, why? And she goes, why? I don't want to see you speak. I'll be so nervous. I said, why will you be? Why? I'm the one speaking.
Yeah, right.
And she says, well, I just never knew how you could do it. You would get up. I would MC in grade 9, grade 10. I would MC the high school graduation. She said, I never understood how you could stand up in front of 1,000 people and be so confident. I'm like, but Mom, you told me I could do it. And she goes, yeah, but I didn't know how you did it. She's like, I was never that way. So the truth is, she believed in me, but she had her own insecurities. So what a gift that she didn't put those on me. Right? That she didn't say, oh, don't mess up or anything, right? That she just had that utmost belief. So in my coaching, in my women's community, when I run my programs, when I can have that belief in others, it starts that spark of belief in self. When I believe in my client, they do something, then they get the result, and then they go, wow, I just said I would do something. I actually did it. I got a good result. I've just grown. When that kind of sequence happens over and over again, and self-confidence forms. Now that I'm a coach, I know more about it than I did in the past. But the whole thing around, we got to find out who the saboteurs are. We got to personify them. We have to make sure that we banish them. We do something to make sure that they don't have the strength anymore. We got to tap into that deeper why. Like, there's so many other things that we have to do to build that confidence. We have to push them out of their comfort zone. Thankfully for me, I love challenge. Might be the soccer, rugby player in me. I don't know what it is.
I think that probably has a little bit to do with it there.
2 older brothers, right? I love challenge. I love competition. And so I'm driven by that, but not everyone is. So we got to find.
I love that. So take me. Let's go back one step here for a second, because what you said there was really fascinating. I think we as people who want to inspire confidence in others and help others succeed, just in general, like as parents, we want our children, right? And even as business owners like myself, I want my staff to succeed. And sometimes, like, you agree with me, Diane, they're going to be much better at something than I am. Like they're like, there's going to be stuff that my son Alex does that he's going to be way better at it even at 5 years old than I am as a 40-year-old. Like there's just going to be things, right?
Yeah.
And what you said there about your mom was so crucial in the idea that you can have belief in someone else, even if you don't, and coach them and guide them and inspire them, even if it's not your particular gift. Like, even if it's not something that you happen to be fabulous at. And I think as individuals, it's so important for us to recognize we can endow someone else with belief, even though that might not be our core, like that thing that they can do isn't our core strength.
Yeah. And for example, like, one of the things I'm not good at is dealing with death, dealing with like funerals and hospitals. And like, I'm not good at that.
That's so specific, Diane.
And it is because one of my clients, her brother was diagnosed with cancer, and he wanted her to be his voice. From diagnosis to death was 3 months. He was 30. Like, wow. Like crazy. But I supported her through that. I had belief. And in my head, I'm going, man, I don't know how she's doing this. I don't know how she's speaking for him. I don't know how she's dealing with the family craziness that's happening with this. But I have done enough work, and this is key in choosing whoever is going to believe in you, your coach, your advisor, a mentor, whoever it is, you
your
need to
spouse,
make sure,
even, right? Your
well,
partner in life. I mean, that's a trickier conversation for
well,
sure.
the thing is, you need to make sure that they're doing the work so that their fears, their limitations, their limiting beliefs, their saboteurs don't show up in a session with you. So I had to make sure that I had taken care of my own business around that topic so that I could support her as she went through it. I didn't need to be good at it. I just needed to be able to be clearly supporting her through it. And so that's the gift that my mom gave me, is she never said, I'm scared of this or be fearful. She never put that fear in me. She put only belief in me.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine if we could do that for people around us, for our children, for our spouse. Like, imagine your spouse is going for a job interview and you really don't think they're going to get it. How about if you just believed in them anyway? And if anything, even if they like legit aren't going to get it and you know that and they feel that, can't they just be a rock star in the interview?
Yeah, totally. Right. Like that undeniable support, regardless of what you might internally think the outcome is going to be, is a very powerful force. Because I think a lot of people have done some pretty fabulous stuff in their lives that who knew whether it was going to actually work out or not, but they did it because they felt supported. And it's hilarious because, as you just put it out, your mom was like, I have no idea how you're going to do this, how you're doing. I can't do it, so I don't know how to believe in you, but I do believe in you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just one quick thing, Diane. What that made me think of is, because, I mean, and transitioning here just for a sec, because of your phenomenal and incredible experience, your dynamic experience, as it were, coaching, especially women and entrepreneurs and career ladies that are like high achievers, right? Like, let's be honest, you love to focus on people that really want to get somewhere. Like they're in the idea of moving. Like they want to get somewhere. They want to better their careers. They want to get somewhere with their businesses, whatever it is. Talk to me a little bit about what you believe the word leadership means then for them. Because I think belief and leadership are synonymous. And for me personally, I think even in my short 2.5 years as a parent, leadership has had all like that concept of leadership and how to help my son through things by being a leader in a support network is different than parenting him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not super excited about the word leader.
Okay.
And let me explain that. And I just talked about this morning about it in my in a group I was leading. So I feel, and the reason why I've done a lot of work around the word leader is because it's one of my values. And the value came to me as the word leader, but I have permission to rename it to a word that resonates with me. And basically, just boiling that down to really simple terms means I'm energized by that word. I like the word, right? Okay. So even I'm doing right now complimentary training called 3 Factors to Crush Your Goals. Some people are like, I don't like the word crush. I'm like, then change the word, like to love it. So anyway, we're going to come back to.
You're responsible for you, yes.
No, it's like, it could be crush, it could be achieve, it could be reach, whatever word, right? But certain words will land for you and certain words will have you be like, yes, I want that. So I had to change the word leader to trailblazer. Okay. The reason being, I feel like a lot of times leader is like, I am up on this mountain and I'm so good. And you all my followers down here, you may come up, come do the things I've done. Like, come up to here. Can you come to my level? Like, I feel like there's a lot of this leader follower business that happens. I love the idea of servant leadership. I'm totally cool with other people calling themselves leaders. That's fine. But for me, it doesn't resonate. Trailblazer is the one that does. The reason being is I love to go ahead in order to create the path so that I can come back and either walk beside you, just in front of you, or behind you and help you to know exactly where to go.
Gotcha.
And so
I understand.
In being a parent, I often will step into the all-knowing leader position because I know more than my kid knows.
You certainly hope so at this point.
Like, I know you have to put sunblock on your face when we're on the beach, right? Like, I know these things and you're going to suffer. And so when I'm a parent in my leader role, I really have to like cut my ego back. It's not the easiest thing to do. And I have to continuously remind me and my husband, he's just 5. She's only 8. She hasn't learned this yet. And it's a good kind of thing to remember also with people we're hiring, people we're training. You can't get pissy at them because they haven't done something right. They just learned it. They didn't know that. Like, you're responsible, I think, as a parent and as someone who employs people, you are responsible for the training, for the teaching. Even when I was, captain of teams or whatever, I am responsible for the culture. I'm responsible for their actions because I am the one that's providing either the education or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I get it. It's interesting you say that and this is why it's so important that we contextualize some of these words for all of us, right? That leadership is a word for me that is different than, like, you have trailblazer, right? So that's a super specific context, which I love. And leadership for me isn't always about blazing forward, right? But it's me. Leadership is so much about setting a precedent, setting a cultural leadership kind of feeling to it. And therefore leadership becomes sort of synonymous with mentorship almost and guidance. But it's really important for people to reflect, I think, on what does the word actually mean to you, right? And as you put it so beautifully, Diane, if the word crush your goals doesn't resonate, man, oh man, then chuck out the word and find one that resonates for what you want to accomplish. Because I think a lot of the time we're victimized by our language, right? We're victimized by our word choice to a certain degree, and we get framed, like, the word choices that we use put us in a box because they're sort of indicative of the way we think about a topic or view a topic and our perspective on something. So very, very important. And I love the fact that you're like, no, leadership is a different vibe for me. Therefore, I need to shift it in my own company. And what I love is that demonstrates an evolutionary process for your own thinking, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's go back then, because your daughter is 8, you said?
Yes.
And you did, so here, everybody who's listening to this or watching this right now, Diane did the always wise and brilliant thing of going into business and having a baby in the same 12 months.
The exact same time. I tend to create really fun challenges for myself. Like, why don't we write a book in 90 days over Christmas where both my kids' birthdays are? Yeah, that's fun too. But anyway, back to the birthing a business and a baby in the same year.
Yes, so, I love that.
Really what happened was I was in a really great job. Great in the way that it looked great on paper. Every 3 months I got 8 days of paid vacation.
Wow.
Like, who gets that? It was great in so many ways. I was the head instructor. I was training teachers. I was building curriculum, like using all the skills that I loved. And I just wasn't happy. And I couldn't figure it out because it's that, like, but I should be happy, but I'm not happy.
There's some guilt that comes with that too, right? Like, there's this weird, I don't know, for me, there's this little shame cloak that kind of descends, and it's like, I should be happy in this situation, yet I'm not, because it's just not resonating. Yeah. It's not in harmony.
Yeah. And so I thought, and I'm making good money, all these things are lining up. I was like, what's going on? Because I would get home and I'd be tired. And so I'm like, is this just what getting older feels like? And I would like be eating nachos and drinking wine, and it just wasn't a healthy situation. And then I found coaching. I just Googled on Craigslist, as you do, I guess, free life coach, because we were also getting a down payment for a house. We were also putting together money for our wedding.
Wow.
And I was just like, maybe, I had no idea. Do you know, 1 hour before I searched, someone posted offering 4 months of free coaching.
Isn't that weird?
God was helping me out that day. I reached out to her and she was like, yeah, I'd love to. Like, I just like poured out where I was at, and I knew something had to change, but I had no clue what it was. No idea.
Okay.
And, you know, the reason why I actually was pushed to find a coach was my girlfriend said to me, like a girl I work with was like, Diane, what's going on? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean, what's going on? I don't know. What am I doing this weekend? And she's like, no, like with you, what's going on? You've lost your spark.
So
like,
Diane, let me ask you a quick question. Do you feel like you were, like, would you call yourself exhibiting unhappiness? Like, what would be, if you were to contextualize this for people? Because I think there's going to be other people that watch this and go, I'm feeling something similar, right? But they label it maybe differently. Going back to this word choice.
I didn't know what it was. I hadn't done a ton of personal development. I had no idea, right? And how could I be depressed, sad, unhappy when I had so much going for me? I'm engaged. Yeah. I'm going to buy a house. I have a great job. Like, I'm perfect on paper. Right. So what's going on? I don't know, but I just keep going because there's no flashing red light. There's no check engine, thing. So I just kept going. But I had a lack of energy. I had a lack of maybe drive. I just didn't know. Something was missing and I didn't know what it was. It was like that pocket of emptiness that I didn't know. And so I just went about my business, and I'm an optimist and I show up happy. That's my default, is happy. I can always look on the bright side. I'm always showing up that way, not fake, but this friend she saw it. She saw it. And the second she saw that, I burst out crying. Because I was like, you see that? Because I didn't even know what it was, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, it finally gave you permission to be it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you see a friend that's off, tell them. It's like when you tell a friend they have broccoli in your teeth, like, just share. Just tell them.
Just want to know.
Okay? Because, I've had moments where people have asked me if I'm okay and I wasn't okay and I denied it. But then I looked back and I went, oh, yeah, I probably wasn't okay then. I just was playing okay. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was talking with her. I realized, a bunch of things about me, like, wow, I'm not doing what I'm meant to be doing. I need to be in a different profession. And so I jumped into, okay, how do I get certified as a coach? So fast forward, I get married. I'm still working the job. I'm doing my coaching certification. And I think, how do I get out of my 9-to-5? How do I get out? How do I leave? Mat leave. So I decided mat leave is going to be the time where I fully launch my business. So 3 weeks before I delivered my first child, I'm certified as a coach. And I go in to launch my business. And, there's definite need to surround yourself with positive people, because at the time I had people saying, with their own limiting beliefs, oh, Diane, but you can't run a business and have a baby.
Oh yeah, they would be all over life. Yeah, for sure.
You can't do that and I said, hey, currently I'm doing all of this and working a 9-to-5. I will not be working a 9-to-5. I know that I will have limitations. I know that I have a responsibility to care for this child, but I will be able to run a business. And so how did I do that? I would nurse my daughter and read a book on my phone. Mm-hmm. I would hike when she was awake to get my exercise in. And when she was sleeping, I'd work. When my husband came home from work, I'd coach my clients. So, it's never ideal. There were a lot of struggles that I had to go through. But the fact that I was able to do it and build like a successful coaching practice for myself, and do the speaking engagements I wanted to do to build the women's community, my dynamic women's community, finding coaching is the thing that helped me realize, like, you can live the life you love. With the right coaching, you can also have like freedom. You can also have balance. You can also have happiness. Yeah. And so I realized all those things. And really what that means for everyone listening is that if you get the right coaching, you can design the life that you want. You can be highly paid for what you want to do. There's
and it's
stuff you have to work through.
I just love that, Diane, because I think that and in your story there, what I love about it is that you challenged the status quo of what so many people around you were forcing you to expect, because that was their perspective. But
Yeah.
I think it's really important to recognize that that's their stuff. And when you get great coaching, when you get great guidance, those people are often in your life to tap on the glass and say, hey, there's a world outside of this perspective, right? You've got to walk through it. You could come to the other side, but that's all pre-framing from someone else's story and someone else's narrative. And so I love that part of your story, that you're like, no, crush these ideas. Like these are ones that are going to frame me in. And, you know, as Tony Robbins puts it all the time, it's not about who has the most resources. It's about who's most resourceful. And so I think that the way you put it right there is so wonderful, that you were finding space in your life to get your business done. So let's talk about that a little bit, because if we were to give some of the gentlemen and the ladies listening to this or watching this some advice, what would be a couple of the tips or ideas, Diane, that you could give them on how to be resourceful with the space they have in their life to pursue their dreams and be a great parent? Right? Because some people feel they're juxtaposed. Like, I know there's lots of stories out there where moms and dads have sacrificed their dream. Like, I was just recently watching the Garth Brooks story on Netflix, and he talks about the fact that his mom sacrificed her singing career for her kids. And that's a beautiful story, but I think in a lot of circumstances, it's also not necessary.
Yes. And there are many times in these 8 years that I've had 2 kids and been running the business that I felt like a wild horse that has been put in a barn, and I'm kicking the stable and I'm kicking and I'm like, let me out. I want to be out. I want to be free. I'm like held in here. And then I get out and I'm free, and I travel to Vegas for masterminds, and I go to San Diego to do some training, and I fly across Canada to do speaking engagements and serve my clients, and I do all these things, and then I think, oh, but I want to leave the pasture, and I just want to go back into the barn and make grilled cheese sandwiches and take my kids to the park.
Yeah.
Right?
So how do you find the through line through that?
Okay. Well, three key things that I know that I was troubled by and that I overcame. The first is the balancing piece. I shared a little bit of how I did that. You need to figure out, how can I fit in what do I want to accomplish? So if you're in a 9-to-5 and you want to build your side business, or if you want to do your passion project on the side, whatever it may be, you need to find those pockets of time. For me, nap time was a pocket of time. Yep. Being able to hike with baby on me gave me the freedom to do things, right? I still do this in pockets of time, waking up early, staying up late. I sometimes will even just take myself on a 2-day getaway to Whistler. And my mom friends were like, oh my gosh, I haven't left the house in years and I haven't gone anywhere. And I'm like, well, why not? And they're like, well, that's kind of crazy. Like, I can't. You have to build it in that you can. So balance is the key. You have to fit in the other areas of life, and you have to do it in those mornings, or your lunch hour, or listening to a podcast as you're driving, right? I always think of, what can I do as a mindless task and add it to a mindful task? So I'm folding laundry as I'm listening to Michelle Obama's book. This is just recently. I'm at my daughter's baseball game talking to my mom on the phone, right? So I'm multitasking in a way where something is mindful, something's mindless. Now,
Diane, let me ask a quick question of you. Do you find that, because one of the knee-jerk reaction I think for some people is going to be, do you find that erodes some of your presence in the moment?
It totally can, and you have to check yourself with that. I am a doer. I do. I'm not being as much as I need to, and that's the coactive style of coaching I was trained in. And so I have to keep checking myself. And so the balance does come from the being and the doing as well. And so sometimes I will go on a hike and I will have to have silence. And I force myself, even though I want to multitask, I want to get stuff done, right?
I want to put on that podcast so bad.
Yeah, well, there's a part of me that wants to, even like right now, I do virtual church on a Sunday morning. There's a part of me that's like, but can't I just paint my nails at the same time? No, I can't. Do not paint your nails. Focus, like it's how much I really want to have a strong faith. And how am I going to do that? By folding laundry, painting my nails, cleaning while I listen? I can't. But can I listen to a book while I do these things? Yes. Can I talk to my mom who's in Ontario and tell her about how my daughter's doing in the game? Yeah. She's not in there. You have to check yourself on that. The other two things that I was kind of crippled by, second thing was my health. And I know we talked about this before we jumped on here. You know, after both kids, I had postpartum depression. Again, didn't know I had it. Pushed through it. I didn't have the typical symptoms. And I couldn't deliver at the level that I could deliver at before. And that was super frustrating for me. And all the A types, high achieving types out there will get it that. So make sure that you are running on full cylinders. Get your blood work checked. I talk to all my clients about this. Get your blood work checked. Just recently, I was feeling tired, lethargic, not driven. I was having anxiety come up. I'm like, what the hell? Like, where's this coming from? And the key thing was my iron was super low. My vitamin B was super low. Now I'm feeling like, you probably feel my energy right now. I've been taking iron. I've been taking vitamin B. So second thing is make sure your health is on point. Okay. Right? Exercise, do all that stuff, because you will be a jerk to your children. You will be a jerk to other people if you are not taking care of yourself and if you're not running, I keep saying, on full cylinders. And you might get diagnosed with something else. Like I could have gotten recently diagnosed probably with depression had I not had my blood work checked. And the last piece is you need to figure out what your priorities are, and you need to do all that you can to maintain those priorities at the top of your list, including yourself. You are on your own priority list. I just did a Facebook Live today. I do them every Tuesday on my business page, around you need to say yes to your own stuff. Stop putting everyone else's agenda before your own. So if you're prioritizing your marriage, your children, and your business and your health, if those are your key priorities, then your priority is not taking care of the neighbor's dog. It is not driving somewhere far to attend a meeting that really won't move your business forward. Right. That's not a priority. Yeah. And so, I had to learn this the hard way. I remember a day when my daughter was maybe 6 months or so. My husband was supposed to be home at a certain time because I had a coaching call. He wasn't coming home. Then he's like, traffic is built up. Don't think I'll make it. I'm like, okay, how long? He's like, okay, maybe I'll be 5 minutes late. So I nurse my daughter, I put her in her crib, and I jump on the call. Why? I was prioritizing my business. I was prioritizing looking like a good, business owner, a good professional. What ended up happening? My daughter cried for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes. I coached that client and she bawled the entire time. I chose my business. So in that moment, I ran in, I scooped her up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'll never do this again. So you have to ask yourself, are you prioritizing your family or your business? Once I decided that my kids mattered more, now I have missed things because I've been traveling.
Yeah, that's always going to be circumstantial too, right? Like that instance I totally get, but there's other things where it's not a default setting, right? There's context around those choices all the time, for sure.
And I have to keep checking myself to be like, is this really a priority, right? I missed one of my kids' birthdays.
Right.
So I made it up like tenfold. And I talked to them about it, and I checked in with how they felt. So that's really important, that your priorities are really honored.
I love that, Diane. And I love thank you for your honesty in that too, because I think it's important for people to hear that nobody gets this right. Right? Like we never get it. You just get it in progress. Like it's just, it's some days you feel like you knocked every swing out of the park, and some days you're like, I struck out.
I suck.
And over and over again. Yeah. Right. And exactly. So but that's so important, especially as a parent and as someone who's got, you're not a 9-to-5 Netflix and parent kind of parent. You're a parent. You're a go-getter. You're an achiever. If that's who's watching, if you're that person, you're watching this right now, it's important to understand that you will fail.
You will. Yeah.
It's inevitable in any type of attempt to push the envelope a little bit. You're going to get some paper cuts along the way. And what I love about that story, Diane, is that you said, I will never do that again. And I imagine that was more heartbreaking for you than it certainly was even for her.
Oh, some people could say, oh, kids know, and that trauma will come back. It wasn't trauma. Maybe it affects her, but whatever. We are our situations, our experiences. And yeah, I've never left my child. Again, I've never chosen. And so now I schedule things around. I stopped working evenings. Mm-hmm. I stopped taking clients on the weekend because it fit their schedule. I just don't do that anymore.
Yeah. But I think what I love about that is one of the things in reading through your blog, which is beautiful, by the way. I love your website. It's gorgeous. I have to ask a real quick question. What's with the bouncy ball logo? I have to ask.
It's
above Dynamic Women. There's this bouncy ball. For anybody who goes to the site, you're going to see it. But so I had to know. I'm like, okay, what's with the? I immediately think like lacrosse ball, but I'm sure it has nothing to do with that.
So this came from me working deeply with a marketer who was really trying to capture my brand and my essence and create that one logo for me. I don't use that one as much now. I use just my name, but it was her kind of try to visually represent action. That idea of you come from one place and you go to the next place, that you're in action. And Dynamic Women's original name, before I had it trademarked as Dynamic Women, was Dynamic Women in Action.
In Action,
and
DWA, right?
I'm all about that movement. That's always been kind of a part of me. And the word dynamic in itself evokes change, right? It's about evoking change, being a catalyst for change. And so the ball also was that kind of showing the change route that happens.
So, getting back onto my original question.
Okay.
But now we know, anybody who's watching now, you know where it comes from. I love it. Okay. So there's a beautiful specificity and clarity to the blog, to your work in general. So talk to us a little bit about why that's so darn important when you're doing things like setting your priorities and that kind of stuff, because people can generalize a lot of these things. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think you and I can agree that if you're generally putting your family first, it's like, yeah, that's such a wooden statement. You know what I mean?
It doesn't happen.
Yeah. And not only that, but then you cancel out a whole bunch of other things that you could do because you're just blanket statement. I always have my family. Like I know people in my life, for example, that they've had some great opportunities show up for them, but their default setting is my kids are always first. So it doesn't matter whether the situation is actually important for their child or not. It's like they may have a not even a game, but a practice. They're going to be there for the practice because their kids are always first. They miss out on these other things they can do with their life. And I think if you want to achieve something in your life beyond, I'm not trying to begrudge anything, but just saying like going into a career or encouraging your business or whatever stuff outside of just being a fabulous parent, clarity needs to come into effect, right? And some specificity around just these generalized statements. Do you agree?
Yes, and that's one thing I was talking about in my Dynamic Balance program is the fact that people make goals, but they're wishy-washy. They're passive goals, they're not active goals because they haven't written them down, right? Then there's the SMARTER acronym, and many people know that one. But the key thing for me is I'm all about efficiency. How can I get from point A to B in the fastest way? So if you're driving and I'm in the passenger seat, and I know there's a faster,
you're one of those. Are you one?
And I know there's a faster route, I will speak up about it.
I'm the same way. Drives my wife crazy.
I'm kind about it. I'm like, oh, you can go this way, So I'm all about efficiency, and it could be because as a child I was praised for my achievement. So how can I achieve faster was how I thought. And in sports, the strategy as well. How can I get there? How can I do a really good job, but in the easiest way possible? Like in rugby, I don't want to get smashed up. I want to score. And so how can I do that in the easiest way? So when I write everything I write, when I do my training, I also have a background in teaching and education, right? So My curriculum development is on point. So everything I do, I'm thinking, how can we get through these steps? And so when like many times a blog is like stories and stuff and thoughts, but me, it always comes back to the practical. I can't not put the practical in. Even in my Facebook Live, like today, I was like, oh, and here are the questions you need to ask yourself, right? Because it's like, let's get into action. Let's get this done. And this is also why the teachers used to sit me beside the struggling kid, the new kid, the bullied kid, is because I had a way of explaining things in a new way, a different way than the teacher did, and laying it out. I have a gift for being able to feel what it was like to be in the beginning again. And I do this a lot with my clients. Like, I will take on new things in my life. I will do things, even if I could hire someone to do it, I want to be part of the process, like putting my Dynamic Women podcast together, doing my Dynamic You book, doing my collaborative books. I am part of the process, so I know how to explain it to others. The piece by piece is extremely important before I then can pass it off to others. And I put myself in situations where I'm the student. I just, before, we went through this whole lockdown thing, I took African drumming.
Fun, yeah.
I took African drumming. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. In my youth, when I traveled, oh my God, I would find drum circles and I would dance like a free spirit, and I love it. I love the feeling of it. It gets me into the being, the physical piece, rather than out of my head. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this, but also I'm going to do this so I feel what it's like to fail. So I feel what it's like to look stupid, because I don't like looking stupid.
Yeah.
I looked stupid. Everyone knew when I made a mistake because you can hear it, right? The teacher can see it. And I put myself into that place of feeling uncomfortable and vulnerable and at the beginner stages, so that when I come back to teaching, sharing in my blogs, whatever it may be, that I have that beginner's mind and that beginner's lack of confidence too.
I love it. I love that, because I think it also speaks to the power of being a lifelong learner, right? That in the end, so much of what drives, and this is what people who want to achieve more, I think they trip over this quite often, is they feel like they should just be somewhere. They feel like they should just get this. They feel like they should, like a lot of us who have achieved some awesome stuff in our lives, there are times when things come easy, right? I imagine, Diane, there's things that come super easy to you, like putting together curriculum, as you said, isn't hard for you, right? Guiding people, coaching people, it's in your wheelhouse, right? But to get there, we have gone through lots of iterations. We've gone through lots of things that we've kicked over. We just haven't done it necessarily in the last year, or you know what I mean? Like there was a learning process. So I think a lot of people who want to achieve great stuff in their life, they get caught in this idea that they should just have it. They should just know it. They should just be gifted at this thing. And what I love about what you just said is, go out and learn some new stuff, even as an achiever, so that you can realize and have some empathy for those around you that don't necessarily just walk into things being an ace to start with, or haven't had 10, 20 years, like 20 years of education work like you've done. Other people are creating courses, they're going, well, mine's not as good as Diane's. Well, yeah, Diane's got 20 years of experience.
It shouldn't be as good.
Yeah, but we compare ourselves all the time.
Yeah, we do. And comparitis is so bad for people. We should only compare ourselves to what we were yesterday. And if we can be 1% better today than we were yesterday, then we've made it. Yep. If I struggled with this around comparing myself to other coaches, other thought leaders, other influencers, other speakers who were doing so many great things, but I couldn't leave my house for longer than 90 minutes because I needed to nurse my baby, right? So I had to think, they're not at home with 2 kids, right? Because then I had another baby. Then I have a 3-year-old and a brand new baby. And I'm not able to go at the pace that I was going at before. I had to consciously slow down, and I had to make slowing down be okay. That was really, really hard for me. And so if you are, dealing with a family tragedy, dealing with a health concern, having a move, anything else that happens in life, you just have to step back and think, am I taking care of and maintaining what I have to maintain? And then what can I add to kind of move myself forward?
Well, and what I love about that, Diane, is that plays back into the idea of being specific in your priorities, right? Mm-hmm. The way to really make those decisions and to make them from an authentic place is to have specificity even inside your priorities, right? So I think that's crucial.
It is. And the number one hardest question to answer that I find in my clients, that I find in the audiences of people I speak to, is what do you want?
Oh, yeah.
It's the simplest question, but people don't know how to answer. They're like, what do you mean? Like for lunch? Like, what do I want? They don't know the depth of that question. And I didn't know either until this whole world of coaching was opened up to me. Like the wheel of life has just blown my mind. And when you can actually look at a 306, like bird's eye view of your life and have someone take you through it properly, then you really know what matters. And I'll have and yes, I work majority of my time with female clients. I do have some male clients. I'll have them have their husband do it, and then have them come together. There's a specific process to do it, but I'll have them do it with their husband. They're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that he wanted this or that or whatever as well. And now we're going to go look at RVs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's so exciting. Now we're going to rent our house. Now we're going to go on that trip to the Dominican, whatever it may be. Things are sped up once you know what the other person wants. But we're so busy doing in the now that we don't take the time to go deep into what we really want. And then we can set priorities on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely on board with you there. So I'll open it up here to if there's any questions from our watchers. So if anyone has any questions, that'd be great as we start to, gosh, Diane, our hour's almost up here already. Wow.
I know. Well, you and I have a very, an ease of talking, as we found when we've been together at different events and such.
Yep, that's never been our fatal flaw.
No.
So as we wait for if there's any questions coming in, tell us a little bit about your online community. So you've got a really wonderful Dynamic Women Facebook online community as well, I believe, right? So tell us a little bit about that and how some of the ladies that are watching this could join you.
Yeah, so the Dynamic Women Global Club is like an official membership-based community where we have live events, in-person events, virtual events and such, and trainings, and that's a wonderful community. But just to dip your toe in first and to come and like hang out with me a little bit, come to the Dynamic Women Global Community on Facebook. It is a complimentary group, a free group. I love going live in there. I love offering free trainings in there. I can't help myself. I just like give tips and tricks and things in there. And then we can, you can build community as well. So I do encourage all your female listeners to come and join that community. And for the men, they're like, what about me? If you want to talk to me one-on-one, not a problem. Just reach out to me. I'm happy to. I usually coach men one-on-one. And I coach women one-on-one, but also in group fashion. But yeah, the men like the one-on-one coaching instead.
Awesome. Okay. And you've got a book coming.
Well, yeah. So with Dynamic Women, I meet so many incredible women with so many great stories that I decided to, and I've been able to put out a book, and people say, can you help me put out my book? And I'm like, yes. And then some people say, I'm not ready for a whole book.
Right.
So back in 2019, I started the Dynamic Women Secrets series of collaborative books. So this is the first one, Success Secrets. So it's the stories and secrets from 52 women, top thought leaders, experts in their industry. And what's really cool is it's such a diverse group of women. And we have, some women talking about being a single mom, another woman talking about getting over dyslexia, and other women talking about like how they've made it in their industry, or tips in their industry on how you can move forward and have success. So the next book is Confidence Secrets.
Very
Confidence Secrets. Yeah. people often come to me and say, Diane, how can I be as confident as you? And we work through that. And I thought, you know, other women have really good tips. And I love being that I take this book, I take these books with me. And when I speak, or when I have my group coaching programs or such, I gift these to the attendees, or, you know, they purchase them for the whole group. And so that they get that Oprah moment, but I get to share the stories of all these women. And so if someone is wanting to learn more how to be in a collaborative book, like what are the benefits of being in a collaborative book, there is a link on my website that says be an author. So it's dianerolston.com, be an author. So you can search for that and just see the information. There is an investment to join because I do everything for you. All you do is give me the 2 pages that are in it, and I do the layout and the editing and the formatting and the cover and all your social media posts and all your promotion of it. And then you get to sell it at wholesale and make some money. So, and get your message out there. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And I just feel like such a proud little mama with all the ladies that are part of it. You know, some of them are way ahead of me, but still I'm a proud little mama sharing all their stories, right?
Well, and you know what, Diane, and you know what I love about that is it goes back to the beginning, how we started this interview, which is that the trailblazer thing, but also that you have this fundamental need. Like one of your greatest gifts is to be able to speak on, not necessarily on behalf, but give someone the space, the courage, the confidence to be able to speak, the belief in themselves to be able to speak, as you put it. Because, and as Irene put it here in the chat, that your mom blessed you with this, your parents blessed you with this, and now it's become your freaking responsibility. Let's be honest, it's your responsibility.
Oh, thanks.
Right? No, I mean, there's one of my acting teachers shared with me something many, many years ago. We were talking about our first year, and then she looked at me and she says, Michael, you're a very talented guy. You've got a lot of things to learn. You need to stick around in school and hone your skills because you have a responsibility to your talent.
Yep.
And those words scared the crap out of me for the better part of the next 15 years. And I ran from those words many times. But I love that because we have gifts. People have passed us things, beliefs, we have a reason, a purpose to be here. And yes, it becomes our responsibility to hone up and own up to our talent. And I love that you're doing this because a lot of these women would never get published. They'd never. And what I love about it too is they're probably sharing stories that in some cases are tough to share. Some cases are inspiring, or, you know, and giving them a realm to share those stories allows them to also take probably some possession of that story for themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? To be able to start to move forward and owning it and going, no, you know, this is my story. This was hard. I did overcome something, right? And I did get here. And we didn't have a chance to go into it today, but like next time we're going to have to get you on the show again. You open to coming on the show another time?
Of course. I would be honored.
There we go.
Yeah.
Then we'll have to go into the whole ACL injury and how that like triggered literally a snap change in where you were going with things in your life, right? Because that was a big shift. So we'll have to dive into that a little bit too. Yeah. Awesome. So, and just so everybody knows, Diane and I are published in a book together, in fact.
Yeah, that was such a surprise. I was like, what? I didn't know that until later.
Yeah. So, there's my bearded self on the back here.
Yeah.
And then there's your beautiful self is on here too. Where are you? Let me look. Somewhere on here. Oh, there you are. Right there. See, right there in the middle.
That is me.
Beautiful. Okay, so as we wrap things up here, Diane, I gotta ask you. Everything goes beautifully for the next 5 years. Things go fantastically. Mm-hmm. What's the impact that Diane Rolston and Dynamic Women have?
More women feel like they are enough. More women are killing it out there. More men are their champions. And more of society is ditching titles and showing up as who they are. At Dynamic Women, I say, like, ditch your elevator pitch. Show up as who you are. Why do we need to show up as who we are? It never changes. If we show up as who we are, we're unique in who we are. We can't compare ourselves to others. we show up as who we are, we can be an equal in any situation. I just wish that people would like stop all the BS. Like, oh, I'm this title and I have this and I've had this success. Like, well, screw that. It doesn't matter. Show up as who you are. Someone who has a husky dog, someone who loves to eat cheesecake, someone who can play a mad banjo, like whatever it is, right? Show up as who you are. And then we'll start connecting as people. I want to change the conversations that we have out there and have us, instead of saying, oh, what do you do? What if we said, what are you passionate about? What brings you joy? What's something you rocked this week? Like, what goal did you crush? Whatever it may be. How about we change the conversations? I think the world would be a much better place.
Drop the facade.
Ultimately, it comes down to women owning their worth, feeling like they are enough, because when they feel that way, they can rise and they will empower others to do the exact same thing.
Beautiful. And I love that, Diane. Yeah, round of applause for myself too for that, because that's beautiful. And I think that what we talked about today, those 3 things to recap: find the pockets in your life to get your passion projects or your ambition things done. You know, as a parent, find the pockets when they're napping, when they're, you know, if you use daycare a couple times in a week or whatever, like find the pockets where you can get that done late at night, early in the morning, right? Health, please take care of yourselves. Oh my goodness. You cannot be the best possible entrepreneur, career person, and parent and spouse if you're not healthy. As Diane was just saying, she was like, I feel off, got her blood checked, iron's off. There we go, right? So be cognizant and aware of your own health. Don't take it for granted. And ultimately, priorities, right? Really set your priorities and dedicate yourself to those things. And be, as I was alluding to, be specific in those priorities as well. So I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Diane. This was an absolute pleasure. It's been it's awesome having you on here. So I hope people got great value out of today.
Thanks. And can I give a gift to your group? I didn't mention this before. If you go on my website, you can grab, if you go to dianeRolston.com/free gift, you can get my Key to Success ebook. That's great for everyone, not just the ladies. And, you know, that really came from feeling burnt out, feeling overwhelmed and overworked and pulled in a million directions. So I talk about the 3 dangerous trends that people face. So it's a good read, and there's activities in there because, as I said, I can't not teach, and so it's kind of like a workbook as well. So I hope that will be of service to people.
Absolutely will. I'm sure of it. All right. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Remember, everyone, have fun, be more, and absolutely love lots. This has been another episode of the Words of Wisdom Expert interview series. Thanks so much for watching and listening.